This is how the box of the non-X, non-TI version of the 1660 looks by MSI. So this is just a regular gaming one. And the only difference between the gaming and the gaming X is that the X has a slightly higher clock speed by default. But I'll probably be able to overclock this to the same levels. So yeah, TwinFrozer 7, the reason I bought this card. Because in my experience, all the other cards, which are touted to be silent, are not nearly as silent as MSI's offerings. Like ASUS's and EVGA's most silent coolers, which are also said to be just as silent as this one, are not nearly as silent. I mean, I've tried them in the 9th generation and then in the 10th generation. So MSI's TwinFrozer coolers, EVGA's ACX coolers on the 1070, for example, ASUS's Strix cooler on the 970, and none of them really came close. I mean, they did come close, but they couldn't match the acoustic performance of the TwinFrozer cooler by MSI. So I just decided to stick with MSI's TwinFrozer. And by the way, many people, many reviews fail to mention that, and I'm gonna move on to the actual graphics card when I'm done with showing you all of the box. So what many reviews fail to mention is that on the 20th series, or the 16th for that matter, from NVIDIA, they changed the size of the fans from 90 millimeters, so 9 centimeters, to just 85. Which obviously I'm not all that happy about, because the bigger fan you've got, the lower the RPM you can spin them at and achieve the same cooling. But anyway, this is how the card looks with the sticker still on it, but taken out of the anti-static bag. And aside from this, you also get a protective cover in the box and an envelope with funky things in it, which we'll take a look at. So I will quickly take a look at what's inside this envelope before taking a closer look at the card. I'll explain to you why I switched to this card. So I had a 980 Ti from MSI as well with the same TwinFrozer cooler. I mean same, it had 90mm fans and it looked different. And also the fin stack and the heat pipes were a little bit different also. But that was also a really silent card already. But I wanted even more silence because when that one spun up, this still displays the 10 series cooler, by the way. So the older generation TwinFrozer 6 it was. And Lucky the Dragon. By the way, they've put a lot of effort into this quick start guide. It's a whole cartoon with MSI Afterburner and then the whatever. If I get even a single comment, I mean they did put a lot of effort into it. If I get even a single comment below this video telling me that I should show this to you in detail, then I will in a separate video. Because, I mean, just quickly glossing over it, if anyone's curious about it, this doesn't do it justice. A lot of effort went into that. So, why I switched from the 980 Ti? Because I wanted a graphics card which stays silent even when under load. And that one had to spin up when it was under load. Even when it spun up, it was pretty silent because the fans were awesome on that as well. But yeah, I wanted complete silence even when the card is under stress. And based on Guru 3D's review of this card, I'm gonna get that silence from it. So let's take a look of it from the top. This is one of the RGB zones. So this by default lights up and circulates in the colors of the rainbow. You have to install a software to set whatever you color you'd like to set manually. If you just leave it at default without the software, I think it's called the Mystic Light software, don't quote me on that, then it will just color cycle. And the other two RGB zones are here, you know, this transparent plastic, and this one is in one RGB zone, and this one is also, so these two are also in one. So you got 3 RGB zones, one here on the top, and one here, and one here as well. So yeah, let's remove the covers, put it into my system with an 8700K overclock to 4.7 gigahertz on all cores at all times, with 1.24 volts V-core. And let's not forget to remove the sticker. And let's see how it does in games. I mean, this is not a review, but I'll just quickly fire up CSGO, show you my settings in CSGO. I also have 16 gigs of RAM, 2666 MHz, CL15. So with all that info and this graphics card, we'll see how much FPS we'll get in CSGO. And by the way, these also had covers on them, which I removed, and they now look better. And I also almost forgot to show you the I/O. So you got 3 full-size display ports and 1 HDMI, which is 2.0. I think from the 9 series onwards they had 2.0, so you can run, by the way, a lot of people don't believe me when I say you can run 240Hz 1080p through HDMI. Yes, you can, you just need HDMI 2.0 at least. Older versions like 1.4 do not support it. Yeah, that's right. So this is how the backplate looks. Let's see. Oof. I might be better off not showing you the serial number. Whatever. My video won't get that many views either way, so yeah. Card is pretty heavy. Cooler is awesome and overbuilt for this kind of a card. I think, if I recall correctly, yeah, I had a 2060 in my hand, and that one uses more power, but it still had the same cooler, so... And I think even the 2070 has the same cooler from MSI, so that's the kind of card it was built for, and they put it on this one, which just sips power, and that's why it can... the fans can spin so slowly while still keeping the card cool. So these are the settings the game will run at. And let's jump into a deathmatch on Dust 2, which is one of the worst case scenarios you'll encounter in CSGO. You'll have a lot better experience with a competitive match in terms of FPS, at least. So we're getting around that kind of an FPS. And I'm just playing mouseless with a keyboard, just moving around to show you how the FPS changes around different parts of the map. Yeah. And that's all with a overclock that I pretty much copied over from Guru 3D's review. So I just pushed up the limits to their maximum. You know, that's what you should do that on all cards which you own, no matter if you want to overclock or not. Just push those limits to the max. You won't do anything bad with it. You're just letting the card breathe freely basically. And the overclock is just 120, 900.